And we're live. Thoracic Thursday. It's a thing this week only. I'm going to give people about a minute to check in, and then we're going to get going pretty quickly here. Going to just power through, get people moving again. We're talking thoracic spine. Sorry, it's so bright out here. That's all right. Urban Cleaners, what's going on? We're talking thoracic spines today, and it's like the linchpin of movement of the upper body. It connects your spine to your shoulders, your spine and your neck. Your neck is part of your spine still. Your upper and your lower body together. So if you have those restrictions in your thoracic spine, your mid-back, it's going to make it kind of difficult to get your arms overhead, to make good rotation when you're throwing, getting good external rotation, golfing, that kind of stuff, pull-ups, and even just sitting. If your thoracic spine is in that C posture, it's going to jut your head forward, put a little bit more stress on your upper cervical spine, making it work a little bit more on the base of the skull. So we're going to be putting stress into our necks. And guess what? Most of these questions that I'm getting over the months of COVID, quarantine, whatever, people working at home in front of their screens more is, what do I do to make my neck feel better? One of the things you can do is work on your thoracic spine. So that's what we're going to be popping back here for. We got, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things. And so this is kind of a follow-up to that post that I threw up there, I think it was yesterday, of the mid-back mobility stuff. Some of this is overlap. It's not all overlap. A lot of this is just new, different positions, things that your body might like. So I'm going to pop back here, and we're going to start on our sides. So we are going through thoracic spine mobility, and we're going to be feeling good because we're all sitting down a lot. And the first thing that we're going to do is start on our side. And so we're doing some rib rolls. This is very similar to an open book, except we're for our shoulder. But you're going to be knee down with your bottom arm, your top. You're going to pull yourself back 10 times and then roll forward. You're breathing out as you go. We've got our knees up here, so we're locking out our lumbar spine. So this movement occurs in your mid-back, in your thoracic spine. Because if you're getting the rotation in your lumbar spine, which only has about 13 to 15 degrees of rotation throughout, you might actually be irritating your back. Your thoracic spine has more available range of motion, and therefore we should do most of our rotation there. As always, Frankie the Bulldog's coming out here. I think I got one more. Once again, I'm breathing out as I go back, trying to touch that top shoulder down to the ground. Go to the other side. Knees are down. Knees are up towards your chest, but held down to the ground and rolling back. Oh, and all those pops and cracks are free. If you're holding your breath while you're doing it, you're really making it harder on yourself because your lungs are going to fight you. They're going to fill with air, and they're going to be these two pillars of rigidity in your rib cage. And so if you're breathing, and I am fortunate enough to be talking while I'm doing this, if you're breathing, you're going to get a little bit better mobility. It also tells me that you're not so stressed that you're going to tense up, because if you're trying to do mobility and flexibility work and you're really struggling to breathe, chances are your central nervous system isn't going to let you relax very much, and you're not going to be able to get gains in your mobility during that time. And now we're going to build upon this position and just do a stretch called the bretzel. Now the bretzel showed up in my Quarantine 15 squat series. It shows up for the thoracic spine. It shows up kind of all over the place with what I do because it is good for almost all parts of the body because we're stretching a pattern. That pattern is rotation. So we have our knees stacked. You're going to reach your bottom hand underneath. Hello, Frankie. Underneath your top leg. Oh, this is going to get really annoying real fast. Give her one second. Frankie, go inside and see your mom. Go inside. All right, so up next we're doing our bretzel. We're on our side, our knees are still up towards our chest. We're gonna take our bottom hand and go underneath our top leg. We're gonna take our top hand and grab our bottom ankle. And so we're almost in like a half kneeling position, but on our side. Then we're gonna try to roll our top shoulder back. Just slowly trying to get that top shoulder to the ground while keeping our top knee as close to the ground as possible. Okay, so we don't wanna let that leg open up. We just wanna breathe and stretch. We're just gonna be here about 60 seconds, and then we're going to the other side. Yeah, we got Frankie joining us again. Whew, just breathing. Hanging out. And everybody's stretch is different. You know, you might still be on your side, but gradually over time, as the weeks and months go, and you keep stretching out your thoracic spine and stretching out your hips, you're gonna get better at these and the other stretches. And some of you might be limited because of your quads, and some of you might be limited because of your thoracic spine. All right, we're going to the other side. And we've got knees up, bottom hand underneath our top leg, bottom ankle going behind us. So we get that big quad stretch on the bottom leg, and then we're opening up. And I feel like I'm a little restricted in my quads. I'm starting to run a lot more. I'm doing a challenge over 6 months where I have to try to log 700 miles, which is the distance from Tahoe to Malibu. Now, my wife and I started dating when we were in Tahoe, or we started talking. We've known each other 18 years, but 4 years ago we started talking and got reconnected and planning a trip to Canada, of all things, while we were in Tahoe. And then fast forward a year later, we got engaged in Malibu. So seems to make sense to try to run from Tahoe to Malibu over a 6-month period, virtually, of course. I think I'm a couple weeks in, and I think I'm 90 miles in after a couple 8, 9, and 10 mile runs. But my quads are a little sore. Okay. But you'll see my quads are sore and tight, and that is leading me to be a little bit restricted in my rotation during that bretzel. So the body is one of those things where it's the knee bone is connected to the hip bone, and that comes out during that stretch, the bretzel. But we're going to stay a little bit more focused on the thoracic spine here with a short cat camel. Now, typically when we're doing cat camels, we're on our hands and knees and our spine is going up and our spine is going down, and a lot of the movements occurring just globally, the entire spine. But to emphasize the upper back or thoracic spine, you're going to sit back on your heels as best as you can. You're going to put your hands just directly in front of your knees. And from here, you're going to try to make that cat camel motion and pushing away from the ground. And then pulling your chest up. And it's going to emphasize the thoracic spine. Now, you'll still get movement in your low back, and that's cool. That's okay. But you're going to get most of it occurring in your thoracic spine. And we're going to go for 10. So we got 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9, and we got one more to go. All right, and we're gonna drop down onto our bellies for a cobra, and we're gonna get a little bit of neck rotation in here. So we're gonna work on getting ourselves into an extended position in our thoracic spine, and then getting a little bit more extension into our cervical spine on one side than the other. Because rotation of our spine is really a combination of flexion on one side of our spine and extension on the other. So whatever way we're turning towards is the side of our spine that is extending. And so for me, I'm gonna go up onto my hands. I'm looking over and over. We're just gonna make 6. So my hands are underneath my shoulders. I'm pressing myself up as high as I can without shrugging my shoulders. Turn to look over, and then back down. And yeah, you're gonna get some mobility or some extension into your lumbar spine as well. And that's okay. It's really hard to only move your thoracic spine. It's really, really tough to do. In reality, it can't actually be done. Even when you move your neck, your lumbar spine is gonna move a little bit. I think I got 2 more to go. So basically today we're just running through a ton of options for some mobility drills for your shoulder, your neck, your thoracic spine. Okay. We're going back onto our hands and knees. Tuck those toes under because we might as well work on that big toe extension mobility. It's so important for everything with our lower bodies. Might as well sneak in a little bit of work there where we can. Then gonna drop down onto our forearms with our hands together. Okay, a lot of times I'll have your hands apart because it focuses on getting some shoulder external rotation, but our hands are gonna be down. You can make fists and go thumbs up if you want, but your elbows are gonna be in front of your shoulders. And from here, I'm gonna just drop my chest down to the ground. It's a very small movement, but it really focuses on that thoracic spine. It puts your arms in a slight overhead position because we sometimes need to get thoracic extension when our arms are overhead, say when we're doing some military pressing or overhead pressing. We're gonna make 8, so I got 5 more. And we're gonna go back into something with a little bit of rotation, stretches out the legs a little bit too. We're just down here for a brief pause. You can rest your head on the ground if you want. Got 2 more. Okay, awesome. So, I'm feeling pretty good. Feeling a lot more mobile than when I started. What you're gonna do is you're just gonna have one leg straight. You're gonna cross over. This one comes from the yoga world. I don't really know what it's called, but we'll just do a little bit of seated thoracic spine rotation. And then take my opposite arm, kind of get my elbow or my arm on the outside of my leg. My other hand's going behind me. I'm gonna pry myself open. Little pause, and then I relax for a second. I'm gonna make 5, and then I'm gonna switch to the other side. 2. It's just like a 1 or 2 second hold at the end range here. Breathing out though, making sure you're not holding your breath so you get more of that rotation. Just like we talked about with the bretzel and the rib rolls at the beginning. And so I'm actually pulling myself with my elbow, but I'm also prying myself open with my back arm. Great. And then we're going to switch. Turning my head with it to make sure that my thoracic spine gets as much rotation as possible. That's the whole reason we're here, right? Two more. And last one. Okay. All right. Now we're going up onto our knees. Let's see. I'm losing my microphone. So you're going to be in a half kneeling position. Right now I'm in tall kneeling. Both knees are on the ground. Half kneeling position is with 1 foot forward. Okay, so it's a little bit more challenging to your balance. Go wider between your foot and your knee if you're struggling with your balance on this one, but you are going to have one hand on the ground, so it is going to help you out a little bit. And if my left knee is forward, I'm going to have my left hand or fist on the ground, whatever's easiest. And if you can't even get down there, maybe stacking up some books, yoga blocks, or a towel, something can help you out if you can't get all the way down here to the ground. With my free hand, I'm going to reach underneath my leg. I'm going to wrap around my thigh. Then I'm going to open up towards the sky. I'm going to make 8 of these, and then I'm going to turn around and do the other side. 2. This is very similar to something I posted yesterday called a T4 rotation. Locking out your lumbar spine, so most of that movement is once again occurring in your thoracic spine. You're trying to get a little bit more range of motion on every one. I have a lot of my golfing clients do this one because it's portable. You can just take it to the golf course. You only got to throw one knee down, so you just have a towel on the ground. If the grass is wet, you can do it every 3 to 6 holes. Keep your body moving well so you don't get fatigued and hurt. And that's 8, I think. Sure, why not? So, switching sides. Hand is on the inside of my of my front foot. Reaching under, opening up towards the ceiling. And you'll see, as I go, I'll probably get more and more range of motion. Turning my head with it. 6, 7, and last one. 8. Nice, okay. So we're staying in the half kneeling position. My left foot is forward. My hands are going to be clasped, pointed right at you. I'm going to open up, and I'm going to reach my hand that stays in front forward. Okay, so I'm going to reach forward while turning behind me with my head, and then come back. This is a half kneeling open book. It's very similar to the rib rolls that we did at the beginning, except I'm going to get a little bit of use of my serratus anterior, some of the shoulder stabilizing muscles with this one. At the same time, I'm going to be using my obliques to turn my thoracic spine. Instead of passively working on my mobility, I'm actively working on it, which is going to lead to quicker changes in the amount of mobility and use of that mobility I have when I go to do athletic movements or exercises or whatever it might be. If I've used my body through that range of motion and mobility, it's going to stick a lot more than if you just passively go through stretching and mobility all the time. So we got our hands forward, open up, and then bring it back in. And so you want to avoid a lot of movement in that front knee. And we're just going to make 5 on each side. So I got 2 more. 1. And 2. And these ones are going to go from the side so you can see a little bit better what it looks like as I open up. 1. You'll see I'm not lunging forward, I'm just reaching. All the reaching is occurring in my shoulder. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Now the last stretch I included in my post from yesterday, or the mid-back mobility stuff that I posted on my feed, was a lateral child's pose to stretch out your lat and get a little bit of side bend in your thoracic spine. Now, this isn't exactly the same, but we are going to get a little bit of lat stretch and a lot of side bend in our thoracic spine because we're going to be doing some windmills. We're also going to be stretching out our low back and our hip with this, so it does encompass a more global pattern of mobility. It's not just stretching just your thoracic spine. We're combining a bunch of stuff so we can get greater movement throughout our body in all of the links and the chains or the trains, whatever you want to call them. So I'm going to have my back leg is going to be my right leg, and those toes are going to be pointed straight ahead. My other foot is going to be 45 degrees off into the distance with a slight bend in my knee. My back leg is my right, so my right arm goes overhead. My left hand goes on the inside of my thigh. I'm going to push my hip back in line with my toes, okay? So my toes are off at a 45. I'm not going to push my hip forward, and I'm not pushing my hips directly back. I'm pushing them back at a 45-degree angle, back behind me. I slide my hand down as far as I can go, and then I come up, and I'm using my butt to come up. So I'm getting some side bend in my thoracic spine. I'm getting some opening up of my lumbar spine as well, to stretch out my quadratus lumborum. My adductors on my front foot are going crazy. I got 2 more to go. And then we're switching sides, and then we're all done. And the goal here isn't to touch the floor. Just like with deadlifting or single leg deadlifting, the goal is to make good reps, not to touch the floor. If it includes touching the floor, so be it. And that's great. Good for you. Chances are you don't need to work on your mobility too much in that pattern if you're able to touch the floor. So, back foot straight ahead, front foot 45 degrees, arm is up, align myself with the sun. And I've worked on my thoracic spine a lot with all of these exercises, so I feel like right now my mobility is actually pretty good. 2. You'll see I'm maintaining that bend in my front leg. 3, staring right into the sun as I go up. Or down, excuse me. 4, we got 1 left. And 5, and that's it. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, my name is Dr. Michael Scott. I'm a physical therapist, owner and operator of Kinetic Potential Physical Therapy in Los Angeles. And you joined me for a great thoracic spine mobility session here. The thoracic spine is the linchpin of most of our upper body global movements. It connects the lower back to the rest of the body up above. So it is crucial in most of our movements and our exercises and the athletics that we perform. So if you're struggling with that rounded posture, pain between your shoulder blades, or maybe the base of your neck, some of these exercises can be really, really, really powerful in getting you to move and to feel better. So thanks again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, please comment. I love hearing what you guys have to say. And if you can, subscribe so you never miss what's going on at Kinetic Potential. And don't forget to share it with your friends or family if you know that they're struggling with any issues. I love to help. And if you need help, you can reach out to me in my direct messages at Kinetic Potential PT, or directly to my email address at kineticpotentialpt@gmail.com. Thanks for watching.